We're your hosts,
Aaron Bacus
and Jason Kindler.
We like to sit down with our guests to hear their journey, their challenges, and how they impact the local community.
So grab a seat, tune in, and let's get inspired by Jacksonville's everyday workforce.
Welcome to Hometown Jax. Well, this is a special episode. I have Laura Zorn here, owner of Bravoz, but this is personal here. I mean, we go all the way back to high school and probably beyond. We probably didn't even realize we knew each other way before we knew each other, right?
I couldn't agree more. Gainesville's an awfully small town.
It is an awfully small town. Gainesville, Florida is where we both grew up. Laura's family's there. My family's there. Her husband's family's there. My wife's family's there. It is deep roots here.
Very deep roots. And yeah, I hope we're not going to get too personal.
No,
there's no telling what you might pull out of the closet and throw at me today.
This is serious stuff
but it
here.
could go either way.
This is serious stuff. That's just short clips later on. But Laura is an accomplished entrepreneur, business owner, amazing mom, all kinds of world-class skier. There's so many accolades that go along with her. But I want to focus on kind of the main thing on what she owns right now. It's Bravoz. So what is Bravoz, Laura? Explain to everybody what that is.
Okay. Bravoz is a 40,000 square foot indoor trampoline park that contains multiple other attractions. So we like to call ourselves a full family entertainment center.
Right.
We've got 3 different rock climbing options. We've got a ninja course that's the largest in town. We've got a foam pit, a basketball slam dunker. We put in a new ride about a year and a half ago, a drop tower ride. We've got mini bowling, and the greatest thing is our laser tag. We've got a 2-story laser tag arena that's one of a kind in the country, and people love it. It's really great.
So it's not just trampolines.
Oh, gosh, no. No, we've got something for everybody. 40,000
square feet. So that's hard to even visualize. So your average house is about 2,000 square feet. So that's a lot of houses in there.
That's a lot of houses.
A lot to maintain.
Yeah, it is indeed.
Well, I want to go in a lot of different directions here because I have so many questions for you, but
okay.
I want to know I like to start off fast. Like, what's a crazy story that you can remember off the top of your head? Like some crazy thing happened or weird coincidence or someone fell through the trampoline. I don't know. What's crazy? Can you remember a story that comes to your mind?
You know, we're really blessed in the sense that we get to remember fun things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, we're in the business of fun. People come in there to play and exert energy and celebrate birthday parties. And so nothing really sticks out in my mind as crazy. I'll tell you what was crazy. Earlier today, the daycare center next door, the microwave blew up and caught fire. So I walked out of my office to find, 40, 50 kids sitting on the floor that were maybe 2 years old playing with Legos. That was kind of crazy.
That's interesting.
And that happened just today.
That's interesting. So you have a daycare right next to it. That's actually probably a good...
We do. They're toddlers. But they're not quite our age group. But
but parents coming in, seeing that, and all of that.
Yeah, it's great exposure for us.
Yeah, no, I understand.
A church and a daycare next door. It's great exposure. So.
I want to, and where are you, by the way?
We are at the corner of Old St. Augustine Road and Phillips Highway.
Okay.
So here on the south side of Jacksonville, kind of headed towards the Nocatee area. But easily accessible. All 3 interstates literally straddle us, so you can get to us very easily from anywhere in Jacksonville.
That's awesome. Well, crazy story. I meant to say, like, it could have been a good story, and that's great. I want to go into that too because I think you make a lot of memories there. You said that on your website, family business. What made you start this kind of business? I mean, this isn't like just your standard business that you start. I mean, this is a massive undertaking.
Well, in the beginning, it was me with 3 children, as you well know. 2 of them who are older, one who straggles behind by 4 years. Taking them to places here in town that the older 2 were having a blast and the little one couldn't do anything. And me chasing him all over the place because there was nowhere nice and relaxing for me to sit down and take a break and enjoy myself. And so what should have been fun for everybody wasn't. It was fun for the older 2, but not so much my youngest and myself. So I was at a point in my career where I was told that my position was being phased out if I did not relocate to Orlando full time, and I didn't want to go. We love Jacksonville. This is home. And so we came across the concept of the trampoline park one day down in Tampa. And I looked at my husband and I said, "Oh my God, I think this is it. I want to do it better, right? I wanted to create that place here in Jacksonville that gave families with kids of all ages some place to go, not only for the kids to have something to do, but for the parents as well.
Right.
And so, as you know, in the center of our facility, we have a bar, we have a restaurant.
Excellent.
The parents have plenty of seating. They can sit there, watch watch games on the TV, work on their computers, whatever it may be, and they can see their kids anywhere as they run by and play. And so, to me, it checked a lot of boxes.
No, it sounds, I mean, obviously I've been there several times, and it's all under one roof, under, one entrance, very safe and contained. So what a relaxing thing for parents, for sure.
Yeah, and we see it all the time. Summers, moms are sitting there on their computers working all day long while the kids are taking advantage of the play. And the thing about our attractions, and the thing that's so important to David and I, is keeping kids active and healthy.
Yeah.
And you and I know we have 2 teenagers that we're all over them all the time. Put your phone away. Get off your phone. Get off your phone, right? And we do a good job of managing that with them. But it gets them off their phone and doing something fun, active, and healthy.
Right.
It's helping, rock climbing helps them build muscles, right? The ninja course is full of all sorts of upper body and lower body exercise.
When you say ninja course, is that like something you see on TV where they're climbing and jumping on different things?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Exactly like the TV show.
Okay.
We have all the things.
Okay.
And so to me, it's super important, especially this day and age, to encourage that healthy, active play with kids.
Yeah.
And our place does that. And it's important for them because it's so easy these days to let your kid be on their phone or let them be in front of the TV. And you say, go outside and play. Well, it's usually, with the last couple weeks as an exception, right? It's been freezing.
Right.
It's usually hotter than Hades.
Right,
and so they only want to go outside and play until they're too hot and sweaty and they don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
We give you that, climate controlled indoor environment where they can play for hours on end.
Yeah, no, I was going to say climate control, that's a big thing, especially here in Florida. But let's go back to okay, you saw it and you're like, man, I want to do that. But how do you get from that all the way to when you open your doors? I mean, it just seems like a lot of moving parts to wrap your hands around.
So we started as a franchise. Okay.
So the blueprint was there.
The blueprint was there.
Okay.
And it didn't take long we opened as 20,000 square feet.
Okay.
It didn't take long to realize that the franchise is what most franchises are, not all they're cracked up to be, in my experience anyway. And so we decided after about 1.5 years in, we want to be bigger than they are.
Right.
We have a different vision for this than they did.
Right.
And so it was 1 year later that we added another 20,000 square feet to our space.
Doubled in size.
And that was a huge undertaking, right? We were just getting our legs under us as just a trampoline park with 20,000 square feet, which still in itself is huge.
Right.
And then said, hey, what if we throw in a couple different attractions, right? And let's see how this goes.
Right.
And that's what we did. So we added that additional 20,000 square feet. And back then it was laser tag, but on a much smaller scale.
Right.
We did archery tag. We expanded the restaurant. We expanded our party rooms. We didn't add a ton of attractions, but what we wanted to do was test the waters.
So was the trampoline always the centerpiece of it?
It is. I think, and David and I talk a lot about, our trampoline, are they here to stay?
Right.
But, even here in Jacksonville, there were trampolines, public trampolines you could jump on in the 60s.
Okay.
So back at the beach, at the pier, they used to have trampolines you could go jump
Very
on,
interesting.
right? So it's not a new concept, maybe indoors.
Yeah.
It's a new concept.
Right.
But, so we just decided, hey, let's add to it and see what happens. And the response from the public has been great, right? Because you can come and now there's so much for the kids to do. They don't get bored.
Right.
All they do is have fun. They want to stay longer, which is why we have gone to unlimited play. So when you come into our place, we're not charging by the hour. We charge for all day play.
Interesting. Do you ever get full that you can't let anybody in?
Back in the good old days, not so much lately.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is the play is so intensive, right?
Yeah.
They're climbing up rock walls. Right. They're doing this ninja course. Mm-hmm. They're running up and down a 2-story laser tag arena.
Right.
They are exerting so much energy that the average customer, I would say, stays about 3 hours.
Interesting.
So you've always got people rotating out, so there's room for more.
Yeah. And I know you're an expert at, what's the word? The schematics of like the details of how many people are in there, how long do they stay, how much do they spend. Yep. I think that's really interesting that we'll get into right there. And you mentioned on your website that you're really big on, and you mentioned it earlier, making memories with the kids. That's kind of what motivated you to get started. Did they work in the business when they started, or your kids?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And let's talk about your kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
So John, our oldest, is 22.
Okay.
John worked with me at one of my other businesses at the boutique, and is now a pastry chef at Snow Basin Resort in Utah.
Extremely talented.
He's a great kid. So proud of him. Natalie is a senior at the University of Utah this year. Natalie did work at Bravoz.
Okay.
Yep, she got some time in there and at my boutique.
Okay.
Cooper, our general manager, Brittany, who I don't want to fail to mention. Like, we are so blessed to have Brittany, and I know we'll probably get into people and how important they are later. Right. Has been with us for 12 years. She's a part of our family. She's been there since the day we opened. And Brittany will tell you, Cooper, when he was 12 years old, was the best pizza maker we've ever had. So Cooper's 16 now. He's my snowboard, mountain biking enthusiast, and he's loving life.
So truly a family business.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where does hubby come into play here?
So Dave and I make a great team, right? David's a CPA by trade, real estate development background, very legally, he's an expertise in the area of legal and financial.
Yeah, right.
Me, not so much.
Right.
I'm an operations girl. My background is in making things better and getting those processes down pat so they're as good as they can be for a business. And not just our business, but that was my previous experience as well. So David handles the money and the business side of things. Right. I do all the operations.
Interesting. Yeah. Is working with your spouse easy?
No, it's not.
It's not, huh?
No. I mean, I'd ask you, but
it's positives and negatives for sure, right?
There are pluses and minuses always, right? Because it's hard to draw that line and go, okay, the workday is over. Right. Especially when you own your own business.
Well, the workday, let's be honest, is really never over when you own your own business.
It's not. And that's one of the challenges of being in business is finding that balance, right? Okay, we're turning work off now.
Yes.
Not the easiest thing to do. Right. But on the plus side, if I need something, my business partner is right there to go, hey, can you help me with this?
Right. And the trust is there. You don't have to work. I mean, that is absolute king. And I know you guys, over the years of watching you guys, I feel like you've been able to delegate very well. Like, you're not always in the business. You're hiring good people to run it.
So I kind of have this thing that I try to stick to, right?
Okay.
Stay in your lane, bro.
Yeah.
You'll hear it come out of my mouth. Not just to my husband, but to my staff, right? And it's about people knowing their responsibilities and what they are and being accountable for them. And sometimes there's crossover.
Yeah,
there has to be. There has to be collaboration in any successful business. Right. And collaboration is one thing, but stepping into somebody else's zone, that's another.
Right.
So,
So you're real good about delegating the task and making sure everybody knows exactly what their tasks are, so they're not mixing it over and making it more confusing.
You better believe it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we talked about husband and wife. That's interesting. I mean, lots of husband and wives out there. I'm sure they would appreciate that, knowing that. But man, I always see it as there's way more positives than negatives as far as that goes. When your goal is the same, I would assume both of your goal is the same on where you're headed.
Right. It makes life grand, if you will.
Right.
Because we have the same goals. We have the same way to achieve those goals. And it's amazing when you work forward to make things happen, right? Like if you're separately employed and you can still have goals, right? But like we work on everything to make our goals happen. And it really is cool. It's a special thing that not everybody gets to do. But if you get the chance, I say do it.
Absolutely.
Do it.
Well, I mean, and the reality is that you're the final decision anyway, so it doesn't really matter, right?
David might agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
we'll see.
we know how
he may not.
We know how husband and wives, where wives are very good at letting their husbands think they have an input, but at the end of the day, they make the decision. I get that.
They do, but he's important to influence me with information,
yes,
right?
Right.
Like I have to have the information to make that final decision.
Right.
So I'll give him credit for that.
Well, looking at your resume, I mean, you kind of started in the corporate world, medical billing, things along those lines. That's kind of what you went to school for. But obviously, there's an entrepreneur deep inside, and it is keep coming out. You've done Bravoz, a boutique, and you do interior design now. So we talked about Bravoz. We'll continue to talk about it. Tell me a little bit about the boutique and your interior design.
Oh my gosh. So I love interior design. Like it's my passion.
And when you say that, you mean like residential decorating a house or what?
Well, I mean, I've done our space at Bravoz. I've done other commercial spaces.
Right. That's okay.
I may or may not have done some work in the house that you live in.
Yes, yeah, I think you have.
A couple houses now. But I love design. I have a passion for design. I feel like it's in me. You know how when you have something that's innate and you go, oh, I'm just good at that.
Right.
And I think that seems to be the common thread in all of it, right? I look at things and in my brain, I go, how can I make this better?
Right.
How can I make it more functional? How can I make it more beautiful?
Right.
How can I make it work better for the family that's living there or the business, right? Like that was my background.
Right.
And so it's a natural flow into design. I just happen to be given a gift that I can do that. And I do think it's a gift.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, 40,000 square feet, that's nothing to sneeze at, and it's really hard to figure out where everything goes. It may seem simple, but it's important where you place things, where you walk, So we have a joke in our house that when I opened my boutique, which has closed since COVID, that the kids were so happy because they could always come downstairs and know where the living room furniture would be. I have this desire to make things better, right? Oh, this would be better over there. Right.
Or, oh, let's try this over here.
Right.
Well, when I opened the boutique, I was forever rearranging, remerchandising, so it killed the need to do that at home, right?
Right.
The kids were like, oh, we can come downstairs and flop on the couch, and the couch is still in the same place.
Right.
Where we do it at Bravoz now is with our games and sometimes our attractions because we try to keep it interesting and we try to keep it fresh and we want to, but most importantly, I want it to be a great experience. And the number one thing that's always in my mind at Bravoz when we're doing that is, can the parents see the kids? No, that game can't go there. They can't see it, but it could be better over here. And so it still factors into Bravoz every single day.
And I imagine that the positioning of the stuff makes a difference on how it's used.
Oh, absolutely.
The psychology of it.
Absolutely. It's got to be in front of people.
Yeah.
If it's a game that's got flashy lights and things like that, if it's beautiful. We look at it, we go, is it a beautiful game? Does it need to be up front? Or is it something that's a little older and no, maybe it doesn't need to take the spotlight?
Yeah.
So it does. It all factors in.
And I think, listeners out there with young kids, and I just remember that, going to a Chuck E. Cheese or whatever and like panicking when you can't see your 6-year-old or whatever, probably doing a little helicopter. But it's important, just like you said, to have it laid out. So that's why they want to come back. Because I just remember those days vividly. Like you're just desperately searching for a place you could go and lock them in and watch them while you relax.
And we're so careful. We have some competition here in town now. And we're so careful to take the feedback that customers who have come back to us give us, right? One of the things that resonated the most with me about a customer's feedback recently was it was so crowded that I couldn't find my kid anywhere, right? So some of these other places that we compete with, they have as much jammed into a small footprint or a big footprint, as they can get in there, right? Yeah. And then you're left in that situation you were just talking about. Oh my God, where is my kid?
Right.
And you can't see them for all the people. So we intentionally keep things spaced out. We make sure that, it's clear and open. It's really important to me, right?
For sure.
We've had it happen. It's a really cute story. Okay, a memorable story,
yes,
right? I'll circle back. Like, we're probably 2 weeks into opening, so 13 years ago almost. Yeah. And a father comes up, and back then we were very crowded, right? Yeah. We were still only 20,000 square feet, and we were new in the first trampoline park here in town. And he goes, oh my God, I can't find my daughter. Panic. Right? And we all panic. And we have procedures for this, right? Like somebody goes to the back door and stands there. Somebody goes to the side door and stands there. Right. People go in the front door. Right. Nobody leaves when we have a missing child until that child is located. And bless her heart, she was this teeny tiny little thing in a pink little tutu, and she was in the foam pit, and we just couldn't see her, right? She was playing, having the best time ever, and we just couldn't see her. But
covered up with foam.
Right. It's one of those things where you have to find the balance, right? Where we have enough to offer people, but it's a safe and fun and mostly comfortable environment for people.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
I'm super sensitive to the sound. Right? Yeah. The sound is there to enhance the experience, not overwhelm you.
Right. Well, the theme of our show, our podcast is Hometown Jax. It's people in Jacksonville with jobs, running businesses, and you fit that mold perfectly. What are some things you've learned on running businesses? I mean, I'm sure we could do hours on that alone, but my guess is people listening to that really want to hone in on that, because you don't run a simple business. It's complicated. There's lots of different things.
So we currently... we have about 75 kids on staff.
Okay.
This is coming off the
holidays. So when you say kids, that's the people you employ.
And I call them all my kids, right? They're and my management team, I'm so blessed. The majority of my management team has been with me for at least 5 years.
Wow,
Brittany, our GM, every year that we've been open. Tyler's been with us for 6. And so I'm so blessed to have the same people, right? And that's what I would say is the key thing. It's all about your people.
Right.
You've got to have the right people in the right place.
Right.
And as I was telling you earlier, I'm really focused on our customer experience this year.
Right.
And so while we're a great place and we're clean and we're fun, I see opportunities for us to make Bravoz more for our customers, right? Like, I want my staff to engage with the customers a little more. Mm-hmm. And so right now, it's a lot to manage, right? 40,000 square feet, like you said, the maintenance is huge. My staff is a large number of people, and the majority of them are teenagers.
Interesting. So first job.
We are one of the places in town that will hire people for their first job.
Well, that's spectacular, though. I mean, I know it's some difficulties come along with it, but that's pretty cool that you do that.
It does, right? Like, there are blessings and curses that come with it.
Right.
The blessing is we're not breaking bad habits.
Right.
We're coaching them. We're teaching them. We're trying to get them to understand the fundamental of having a job. Right. So it's a challenge. Right. But watching these kids go on and do other things is one of the most rewarding parts of this business.
Right.
I'm friends with kids who worked for us 10 years ago.
That's neat.
Who we have couples that have met and got married and have their own kids now that met at Bravoz. We have groups of kids who they're each other godparents, and they're in their weddings. And so it's like this beautiful...
I thought you were much younger than that, Laura.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I am, definitely. But it's this beautiful progression of watching friendships form. And this is part of the memory side of it, right?
Sure.
Like, not only are we creating memories for our customers, we try to create an employee culture where we're creating memories for the kids that work there. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is the success of any business comes down to the people who are in it and how they execute their job.
How do you hire kids like that? That's got to be very difficult. There's nothing really to go on. It's got to be a lot of gut.
Yeah. So we actually have everybody take a personality test who applies.
Okay.
And if they answer it honestly, then we get a pretty good read on them.
Yeah.
And then that tells us, based on their personality type, what's the best position, right? Do I want them at front desk?
Right.
Do I want them to be a party server?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want them on, or what we call our celebration crew?
Right.
Do we want them on the trampolines? Do we want them at the attractions interacting with the kids? So that personality test is so key to helping us get people in the right role. Then we bring them in for an audition where we have quite a few of them in the room together.
Interesting.
We play games, we interact, we throw some questions out to them, and then we see how they do, right? We rate them.
Right.
If we like them, we bring them in for a one-on-one interview.
Okay.
And that helps, right? Because kids these days are not the same as they were 12 years ago.
For sure.
We see a huge difference in the personality, the attention span, the demeanor of kids from when we first started to now. So we kind of do that double layer approach to the interview so we can really, really find the good ones.
That's really interesting because everybody wants to rush into the interview. So what you're saying is personality tests, come in and socialize. And then if we like you, then we'll go to the interview. That's, I mean, what a great way to do it, especially for someone in their first job. I mean, you're really looking for social skills more than anything at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And capabilities, right? Can they converse? Can they converse in a group? Because while I may be able to have a conversation with any kid one-on-one, it doesn't mean that when they get in a group setting that they perform well. So,
what's the youngest you hire? Is it 15, 16?
We're 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
16.
16.
Reliability to to the job and all of that. Well, that's super interesting because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to know that secret on how to hire like that, and that's a really interesting way to put it. Let's figure out the social first and then drill into the other stuff.
That it works well in the entertainment industry. So Disney does it, Universal does it, right?
Great point.
You know, you got.
Well, I imagine it's got to be a fun place to work when you're young.
Oh, it is, right?
Yeah.
Like we got music on. There's kids running around.
It
is. It's a great place.
Action.
It's got a good vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I imagine most of those kids are available after school. I mean, how do you staff it during school hours? I mean, homeschool kids or what?
So we're really only open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday afternoon and evening, and then all day Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
But we do host groups through the week, right? Like we open anytime that we have a group that comes in and can meet our minimum for opening for them. So we're available 7 days a week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Going back to Bravoz, you hit this before, but run through those attractions again and tell me what your favorite attraction is.
Okay, so we have a main jumper.
What's that? Let's describe them.
So the main jumper is a giant trampoline with individual squares, right? And I want to talk about that for a moment if I can, because we are different from other trampoline parks.
Okay.
The reason we have individual squares on our trampolines is because it's safer.
Right. It's not one big,
When you have people jumping from square to square to square, what happens is somebody gets double bounced, they fall down, they can break an ankle, they can break an arm. So it's one per square, right? It's a safety thing. And I learned that with Cooper, our youngest.
Right.
First weekend we were open, the kid got his leg broken because he went into a square with somebody else. So, so the trampoline, the main trampoline, we have room for, I believe, about 50 people out there at a time.
Wow, how cool is that?
We've got a dodgeball arena where we run games of dodgeball.
We know what dodgeball is, super fun.
Right? Amplified by bouncing on a trampoline and playing it.
Okay.
We have our basketball slam dunker, which is trampolines underneath a basketball hoop. We can adjust the hoops up and down for the kid's size so that it's
very popular.
Like we want every kid to be successful.
Right.
You know, so if they're teeny tiny, we'll put the hoop down. We want them to have a good outcome while they're there.
Right.
We've got the foam pit that does have kind of a trampoline bed that you can do some flips and then land in the foam pit. 3 different rock climbing options. Let me think. We've got a face-off wall, so it's clear. So you can have 2 people racing to the top, and you can see where your competitor is.
Oh, that is really cool.
So that's really fun, especially for team building events. That's a great one.
Right.
Then we have 2 others. One that's a timed wall that'll just, time you as you race to the top. We have a Leap of Faith tower, which is a tower that's built in the center of the facility, and you climb up and you jump off.
Okay.
And you're belayed in, right? You're safe. We're not going to let you go to the ground. But you can jump out to a trapeze. What do you call it? Trapeze bar, right? And swing from there. Or you can just jump, because we had another obstacle, but we found that like most of the kids, they just want to jump. And a lot of people, they just want to see if they can conquer their fear of heights, right? But it happens. They'll get up there and they get freaked out, right? And
how tall is it?
So we're 23 feet to the deck.
Wow.
And so I think this tower is 20 feet high, but maybe the platform is
20
10.
feet.
Not quite 20, but it's somewhere in between. And it doesn't look like much when you're standing on the ground, but boy, and you and I, because we don't do the heights thing very well, you stand up there and you realize you're off the ground.
Yes.
So we have the Leap of Faith Tower. We've got the Ninja course is full of different obstacles to challenge all sorts of abilities.
Ninja meaning that's where you go in the dark areas, or no? What's that?
No, that's it's the warrior course.
About
yeah,
that.
the
warrior.
obstacle
that's
course.
Right.
Laser tag. We do have a laser maze, which is really fun. So it shoots lasers into a different pattern, and you're challenged to get through there without breaking, them. The mini bowling. I actually love the mini bowling. You asked me about that, and I'll tell you why. It's great for little kids,
right?
Because it's duck pin mini, like it's a smaller ball. And when you're teaching young kids how to bowl at a bowling alley, right, a full service alley. Yes. They can't get the ball to the end of the lane. They have to use the little rolly thing. Right. They have to put the bumpers up. Right. So there's all these accommodations that are made for them. Right. This bowling is so great for younger kids that are learning how to do it because it is a shorter lane. It's a handheld ball that they can handle. They're not doing this big bulky thing. I love the bowling. Yeah. My managers will tell you they hate it, but I think it's a great attraction because we have technical difficulties with the equipment from people throwing the ball too soon, things like that. But
it gives them the big bowling alley. It's hard. They probably lose interest.
Right, they do because they can't do it the way that it's meant to be done. Right. So our mini bowling is so great for the younger kids. And then that ride that we added a couple years ago, it's really fun. I don't know if you've been in since we added that. So it's this ride that takes you all the way to the top of the ceiling and then boom, drops you down. And it has all sorts of different bounces and things like that. The squealing and the laughter that come from the kids that are on that ride, you get one extreme or the other, right? They either love it and they've got their arms up because they think they're on a roller coaster, or you've got kids that are like, "Oh my God, get me off this thing!" So it's. What would you say? I love the ride.
Is there one that's clearly more popular that like people come in and they just head right for that one?
I mean, it's usually the trampolines.
Okay, right.
But that ride, it's up there.
Yeah.
It's we get lines at the ride because the kids just love the thrill. It's a real thrill.
As you describe all those rides, I'm thinking your maintenance man is probably the most important guy in the building.
Yeah, we couldn't get by without Bill, and let me not fail to mention him. So Bill has been with us for almost 10 years now. Wow. And he does everything, all the things. We have to change the springs on the trampolines. We monitor the trampoline beds to make sure there's no holes in them. We're the maintenance on the ride, the maintenance on all the laser tag guns. Right. He's a really busy guy, and we couldn't do it without him.
Is he kind of on call all the time, I would think?
Yeah, I mean, if we need him, because then there's the plumbing and the electric and all those other things on top of the regular attraction maintenance. So Bill is amazing. We couldn't do it without him.
A lot of things, moving parts there. Yeah. Now, you serve food and drink at Bravoz. Now, that's kind of new, isn't it? Or have you always done that?
Oh, no, we've always done it.
And alcohol too? Or?
Yeah, we do have a bar. We have a beer and wine license, but we have cocktails now that we're able to serve under that license. Oh, good. So, like a Bee's Knees and a Bloody Mary.
Excellent.
We've got mimosas. It's a nice ad, right? Yeah. Because parents are usually there for quite a few hours.
Right.
And so I'm not, we certainly don't encourage people drinking too much.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're there a long amount of time that they can have a couple drinks.
That's awesome.
And so, we do have a full restaurant. We've got burgers, we've got pizza, chicken wings, chicken tenders. It kind of, I would equate it to a menu at Chili's, basically.
Right.
Plus the bar. So it's a great ad for parents and gives them a place to just decompress a little bit, right?
For sure. Do you have someone who runs the restaurant part of it, like a separate person? Because that's a business within a business. I mean,
it is. Yeah. So I do a lot in the restaurant, as does Brittany, our general manager. The attraction side of things, it is what it is, right? We've got it down pat. We've been doing it for years and years. Right. The restaurant always needs attention.
Yeah, right.
The food costs are ever fluctuating. Right. The staff is, I don't want to say ever rotating, but I'm just going to say restaurant people are a breed of their own, right? So it is hard to get good cooks and people. So we've gotten to the point we really just train our own, and so, but we're always worried about the quality coming out and monitoring it. So we have an expo position that's in there making sure that the food is as it should be before it goes to the table. And the restaurant takes a lot of resources.
Yeah,
it does.
I would think so. Man, I mean.
Yeah, and there are days, I won't lie, that I go, I have somebody come in and take it, right?
Yes.
But it's such a great ad.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's absolutely needed. I'm just thinking of all the different parts you have going on in this business all the time. I mean, super complicated. You make it sound easy. What's the busiest time for the business? Like what day of the week? You know, how many people do you generally get in a day that come through?
So busiest day of the week by far is Saturday.
Okay.
And it makes sense, right? Kids are out of school. Mm-hmm. It's a free day for everybody. Saturdays and Sundays are pretty busy, and those are birthday party days. Yeah. So the majority of the customers that we will have in the facility on those days are birthday parties, right? They make up a big portion of our
how many rooms
revenue.
Do you have for parties?
We have 4 private party rooms,
Nice.
and we turn them on the hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, I mean, I always tell people, if you want the best experience at Bravoz, come on those evenings.
Yeah, right.
Because there's a handful of people there, and it's basically like you're getting a private facility rental. But for, we have new specials. So buy one, get one on Wednesday, right? Like you can't beat the price, and to have not very many people, it's great for people with the younger kids.
Yeah, right.
So the ones that are worried about all the bigger kids running around on the weekend.
Right.
So
right. Is there age restrictions on these rides or?
So we do have height restrictions.
Okay.
That determines what they can play.
Okay.
48 inches, and you can do it all.
Yeah. How does technology play into all of this? Like what comes to your mind? Like what systems are you using? I know you're really good at advertising, reaching out. Like what comes to your mind when we talk about technology?
Well, as you know, because I was staying at your house most recently, I implemented a new software that uses AI.
Okay. Tell us about that.
So this has been revolutionary for my events office.
Okay.
Where we were spending 2 to 3 days trying to call every single birthday party that we had on the books for the weekend.
Okay.
We're now down to maybe 4 hours to get everybody confirmed by AI, which is amazing because the program knows who has a birthday party coming up this weekend. Okay. Sends them a quick text. Hey, checking in. Do you still have 10 kids? Are you expecting more kids?
Right.
Let us know.
Right.
And once we hear from them, we know that they're good to go for the weekend, right? So it significantly not cut my staff hours in the events office because now I have them doing other things, right? It just made one task so much easier. Wow. Technology is great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I imagine there's a lot of technology in the actual games too.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's way beyond my comprehension. Yeah.
Does your maintenance guy know the tech part of it too?
So we actually have a separate company that comes in and does the games.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And those guys, they've got to be tech savvy, right? They're dealing with motherboards and all of these computer parts that run these games and make them work properly.
Interesting.
A lot of tech.
A career path right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
and much needed, let me tell you. People in the entertainment industry on all the forums that I belong to are always looking for good game techs.
Interesting. Yep. Game technicians. Like you don't really think about that when you're thinking about jobs. You think kids that want to be gamers. You don't think about the ones that service the games at facilities like yours.
And they're much needed in the industry.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We kind of talked about how you balance the entertainment for kids and parents. I think it's a very unique spot where it's contained, that the parents can do their thing and relax while the kids run around. We talked about the parties and events. Like, can you remember an event that was super special or jumped out of your mind? Is it always kids or is it older kids?
Oh my gosh.
Adults have parties or what?
So we do. I mean, gosh, we had a couple get engaged in one of our party rooms recently.
Okay.
That was really special.
Okay. All right.
We do bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvah parties.
Yeah.
We do bachelorette parties,
Okay.
bachelor parties.
Okay.
For people that are, and I think this is a trend, right? I don't know. Maybe you would agree. People are looking for experiences these days, right? They don't want the run-of-the-mill, well, this is what you're supposed to do for a bachelorette party or a bachelor party. They want to come up with something new and different and make it an experience for people. Yeah. So that's where we come in, right? Because our facility can check so many boxes, right?
Right.
So we do a lot of senior skip days where they come to us. The local high schools come to us.
Right.
But events in general, I mean, we used to be really involved in the Guns and Hoses tournament. Okay. So that was really fun. They came and set up the boxing ring in the facility.
Okay. That's cool.
Gosh, Aaron, I mean, after 12 years, there's been so many, but...
Corporate events too, right?
One of the others that I love. A foster event, right?
Okay.
Like we welcome, there's different organizations here in town that are looking for homes for foster children that are going to age out of the system.
Okay.
And so they will use Bravoz as kind of a neutral ground for these kids to play and interact with potential foster parents.
Interesting.
And
that
to
is
me,
super interesting.
that's probably one of, like, you know, if you're gonna own a business, and David and I are very, very big on giving back, right, to our community.
Right.
This is our community. This is where we lived for 30 years.
Right.
And so being able to facilitate things like that is one of the greatest blessings of owning it.
Yeah.
There was a child that was adopted at one of those events. And so her life is better because of Bravoz.
Yeah.
Right?
What a unique way to do that, you know, kind of audition for either side on the foster care, man. They just don't think about things like that.
It puts them in a different environment outside of something like this,
more relaxed,
where they would just be sitting across a table trying to get to know each other. So over the years, we've had so many beautiful opportunities to work in our community and help in ways that are really insignificant to us, but are meaningful to others. Yeah. And that's so important to us.
No, absolutely. Yeah. We talk about that a lot in our business. It's more than a transaction for a lot of people, depending on what you're doing. You know, obviously this was a business that was pretty affected by COVID. That's a talking point I have a lot of the podcasts. Like, was it absolutely shut down? You're done? Like, how long? How did that all?
Is COVID over? Sorry.
It's over.
Yeah.
You're good.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right, good. I just wanted to check. COVID killed us.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's no other way to say it.
Yeah.
And I do feel in many, many ways we are still coming back from COVID.
Right. But when you say, like, you're a business that had to shut down, period. There's no...
Yeah, we fell under the category, if my memory serves me, we were considered a gym, right?
Yeah.
So we were in that beginning phase where we were closed.
Okay.
And then when we were able to reopen, we reopened. But the sad thing was the people weren't coming. Right. I mean, the last place you want to take your family is someone where there's hundreds of people in the facility and germs everywhere. And so I remember one moment, I was so scared, as a business owner to embark on this new environment. And we had cases and cases of this hospital grade germicidal, which we still use, right? But I was running around spraying every time a kid would walk around away from a game. I was walking and spraying, and this sweet little lady came up to me and she said, "Honey, I know what you're trying to do." And she said, "You're either going to go broke using the amount of that you are, or you're going to kill yourself doing it, inhaling all the fumes." Right? She was so cute about it. So thank God it's over, right? Like, it's good to see the world getting back to normal.
Well, the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because, like, you're that's not a business. You go online, you know, it's not a paperwork pushing business. It is the real ground zero of what happened. And I think it's important to bring that up, that you made it through very difficult times, but that's the real story on what happened during COVID. Business owners like you.
Well, and I financially, we still feel the effects of COVID, right? We still had to pay the rent the entire time that we were closed. We were keeping our staff on even though we were closed. And for a small business like us, that's we're mom and pop owned. I mean, we are the epitome of mom and pop business. It put a hurting on us. We're still feeling it, and we're trying to come back from it.
Well, you've come back from it in a big way, and I want people to understand the gravity of that.
Well, so we're happy to be here. Let me tell you that.
No, absolutely.
There's a lot of our friends that close places. I mean, I could name 10 right now that close businesses during COVID like ours. And so we don't take that for granted, right? We feel very blessed that we're here every single day after that, and we don't forget it. And it's thanks to our community, right? If it weren't for the Jacksonville community that loves us and supported us, there's no way we would be here today. We wouldn't have made it.
Absolutely.
So we're grateful for that.
Absolutely great community. And actually, you brought up a different subject that you've mentioned before. There's kind of a community of you guys like that own these kind of places like all around the country. Yeah. Like, haven't you like intermingled with them? Like, there's conventions and all of that?
We do. Yeah. So and that's the other thing, right? All the friends that have been made through this in an industry that I still shake my head and can't believe I'm in some days because it's fun, right? We deal in fun and we deal in happy memories, and you get to meet other people who do the same thing.
Right.
We're very open with each other. We share what's working. We share what's not working. Before I came, I was on a conference call with a guy who's gotten to be a dear friend, and we help each other, right? He's the one that created the AI because he saw the opportunity to help improve our processes and improve how we're doing things via software.
Right.
And Keith Smith at Bookmore is absolutely amazing. Awesome. If you have an entertainment center and you need to implement something, give him a call. But we're very blessed, right? It's not a cutthroat thing where like we want to see each other succeed because we're up against the big guys, right? Like Dave and Buster's, we're up and against them. We're up against Chuck E. Cheese. We're up against Urban Air and the other franchises that have these massive corporate presences that mom and pops can't compete with, right? We don't have the marketing power. We don't have that corporate support. We're all doing it on our own and figuring it out for ourselves, right? So having that community is important to success.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I'm glad you touched on that. It's a very common theme with people that we interview on the podcast that are business owners or whatever. Abundance mindset of sharing, because it comes back to you 1,000%.
Oh, it does. Yeah, there's no doubt. It's a beautiful industry to be in, surrounded by beautiful people, not only in that industry, but the ones that we serve, which is our local community here in Jacksonville. Right. Yeah.
So if somebody was out there listening and like, man, I really want to own one of these things, how do you even get started? Like what would be step one? What would you do? Like, would you try is the best way to buy it from somebody? Is it to start from zero? It just seems like a very big task to start from scratch.
I'm not going to lie. It is.
Yes.
And it took a couple years of research and development, right, to get Bravoz open. Right. And then we grew. If we had started out planning to be what we are right now, like we evolved. Yeah. If we had started out and said, hey, we want to be this 40,000 square foot place, like it would have taken twice as long. Yeah. I think it's all about knowing your market. I think you've got to do your research. You got to understand the numbers. You got to understand the numbers aren't always the numbers, right? And you know that as any business owner. Right. Do your research. Make sure you know. Yeah. You
brought that up to know your market because that's very important for you. Yeah. Like what's your demographic, who you're going after, how do I go after them, that sort of thing.
And it's different for all sorts of different entertainment industries, right? So like Topgolf goes after a different demographic than we do. Right. They're young adults and adults. Right. Chuck E. Cheese is going after the toddlers, right? We're more that 7 to 12 age group. Yeah. Escape rooms, while they work for everybody, they're really more geared towards adults. So it depends on where you want to go in the entertainment industry. Right. But there's tons of resources out there. There's tons of people that will help you. Yeah. There's some great consulting firms out there as well that will help you. Yeah. It's doable. Yes. Any business, right? Any business is doable, but you really got to put the pen to paper and make sure it works before you go down that road. Because the one thing that is prohibitive about going into the entertainment industry is, it is a multi-million dollar start.
Right. Up. For sure.
Like $10, $20 million startup. Yeah, right. For sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you got to make sure you've got the capital to make it happen.
Right.
And trust me when I say, you want to make sure you have the capital. We did not when we started, right? Yes. There's nothing worse than going into a new business going, oh my God, we're going to run out of money. Right. Like, and make sure you have the funds to
Right. Yeah. Well, this was awesome. I think we covered a lot of great points, talking about Bravoz a lot, talking about your history, talking about some of the cool things about owning a business, multi-different departments and things going on. I loved what you're talking about your hiring young people and how you do that. I thought that was super unique. Thanks. And just the different, and then in combination with the community and the family business, those are the recipes for success. So
thanks.
It was great to have you on, Laura. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. It was awesome.
It's been fun to be here.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
The Hometown Jax podcast is recorded and produced by First Coast Mortgage Funding, located in the heart of Jacksonville. Do you want to be our next guest? Visit our website at hometownjaxpodcast.com. We can't wait to hear your story.